He says, yeah, you should have life. It's only right that you have life. Look at the world around you. Look at its systems. Look at the life you have. Look at your ability. Use your ability. Perfect what you have here. Perfect the systems in the world. That's the power unto you having the life that is righteous. Just you take up your own life. You can do it. You can do it. He's like the biggest cheerleader. Come on, you can do it. And that way seems right to us. Do you know why it seems right to us? Because it seems right to us to have life. And the moment we don't have life, it seems not right. And so we're like, yeah, if we could just get that to work right, we could have what we need. If we could just have the right elected officials. If we could just have the right constitution. If we could just have the right laws. If we could just have the right wife. If we could just have the right husband. If we could just have the right kids. If we could just have the right pets. If we could have the right bank account. Or the right stock. Or the right retirement plan. If we could have the right thing, then we could have life. Guess what? None of that is the Word of God. Guess what word that is? The word of the world. Guess what that word is intended to do? To take you from resting in the work God has done to give you the life you want as a gift and to compel you to try to take up your own life and to gather the satisfaction that you desire unto yourself through the good things you can get from the world. I don't care how good of a thing you can get from the world, can't satisfy your desire for life. Can't produce peace in you. Can't produce love in you. Can't produce joy in you. Can't fill you with satisfaction. It has an appearance of wisdom, as Paul would say at the end of Colossians 2. It looks wise. But he says it's of no ability to satisfy what the flesh is actually after. The flesh is after not dying. And listen, I can make a lot of wise stock picks. And sometimes I do. Make a lot of wise stock picks. You know what they can never do? Glorify my flesh with immortality. And guess what? That means that it can't produce an incorruptible peace in me. They can't produce a peace in me that isn't at the mercy of the world around me. They can only produce the world's kind of a peace, which is the kind of peace that only exists if everything's going right. But guess what? In this world, nothing's ever going to be going right. Because there's death and corruption in this world. So now you're spending all your days laboring and toiling trying to perfect your life. Oh, man. That's what God calls the cursed life in Genesis 3. That's what he tells Adam, because you now know that it's good to have life and it's evil not to have life. And because you've now brought death into the world, you're going to spend all your days beholding death. And that death is going to agitate your soul. And it's going to set in motion in you laboring to try to gather life to yourself. That's a cursed life, Adam. Hey, listen, I have no problem being transparent. You guys want to know one of the ways the devil tempts me? He tempts me that if I could just preach right, then people could have the peace they need. That's a lie. It ain't got nothing to do with whether I preach right. The power unto the Spirit producing life in people ain't got nothing to do with my ability to articulate or speak eloquently. Right? But if I'm being honest, even in the last 5 or so years, I've had to be set free from that. Because I get so hard on myself thinking, if I could just get it right, the people could experience life. You see, that's him compelling me. He's pointing at the people around. Well, Greg, how come you don't see this? How come you don't see that? How come this isn't going on? It's because you lack as a preacher, man. And if you could just perfect your preaching, then the people could have the life that's right. Get with it, bro. I have a desire for people to know God and to experience life. Like, I have a deep longing for that. And that's why it's easy for him to compel me to pick that up. Right? Because it sounds good. Yeah, you just want the people to have life. That's why it's so deceiving. Because we know it's good to have life. That whole dynamic I just described, that's the equivalent of Adam trying to clothe himself. That's what it is. That's the pride of life. That's the lust of the flesh. That's the lust of the eyes that the Apostle John is talking about in 1 John. When John says that. And what is he saying? What he's saying is, we desire life. We see the good we can gain from the world, and we think it looks good to be able to feed us with life. And then, we enlist the strength in our own hand to try to clothe ourselves with the peace and the love and the joy we long for through the good in the world we can gather to ourselves. That's the pride of life. I desire life, and now I'm lifted up in my heart thinking I can gather to myself the life I desire. The lust of the flesh, where you lust after the life that you desire through your own strength. The lust of the eyes. You behold the life that's in the world, and you think it looks good to be able to feed you with the peace that you want.